Punishments also included half meals and the taking of full sweets, a bounce. Locks and keys were used in and out of rooms or cells at all times. I did the same cycle. I committed to Parramatta girls. Oh, that's wrong. I used saddler's palms for making thick canvas blinds, canvas bags, to turn the canvas at the end and put steel rings in them, scrubbing, polishing, mowing and gardening, hand washing and breaking bricks with a blockbuster. Never idle. My files say I sometimes came at the top of the school. I did 5 months at Hay, then on Christmas Eve I returned to Parramatta. That was part of going to Hay. Welfare words, to see if I could go into society as a decent citizen. I only knew it was Christmas Eve through my reports. I got my first bashing within hours of returning to Parramatta, for stamping my foot to attention, then for not being able to have eye contact when being spoken to. What was programmed into me at Hay to survive was now to get taken from me through physical abuse. I was told by one of the girls to hold my dress at the side to stop marching. I was so alienated. There was no anger in me, only confused, suppressed. I stayed at Parramatta for another 5 months, being 15 months in total, locked up and then released back to my parents. There was no aftercare. Things were the same at home, so I was so screwed up I tried to kill myself. I didn't fit in anywhere, so I left home again. I did the same cycle, committed to Parramatta for 6 to 9 months, put on Largactil, copped the same abuse because I was an ex-Hay girl. Then after 2 months I tried to abscond, not caring at all what happened to me. I got sent back to Hay for another 4 months. It was easier going back to the second time. It was no easier going back the second time, but at least I knew what was expected of me, and I was still programmed and shut down to that system. There were 364 girls went through Hay, 13 to 18 years old. It only closed down in 1974, and that's not that long ago. In 1966, I spent 7 months down in the basement of Paddington Women's Hospital for an unmarried mothers, waiting to have my firstborn son. Welfare Force adopted him at birth. I wrote to Freedom of Information, DOCS, to find out when my baby was born. I wrote that I thought I was 13, 14 or 15, but could you please tell me what date he was born? I have that letter. I found out I was 18 and 18 days over being a state ward. They had no right. I found him in 2006, 1 week after his 40th birthday, and that was amazing. I had never spoken about my time at Hay or Parramatta until the inquiry, until the Senate inquiry into children in institutions and out-of-home care report called Forgotten Australians in 2004. I dumped it. It was so fragmented. I had never had a real criminal charge against me, then or now, although we were treated as criminals. All of my charges were welfare charges. I then spent 4.5 years of my childhood locked up in these evil, sadistic state homes, Parramatta and Hay. These files are closed for 70 years, and that will make me 94 when released. We need those records to be able to write the history the way it was, not the way they want people to see it. I married at 19 and had 3 children. There was violence in that marriage. I eventually got the courage to leave with my children aged 5, 3 and 2. I broke that cycle of violence for my children and myself. I worked to support us. There was little pension and no support from my husband. I fruit picked, drove tractors for fruit harvesting and babysat. I started to drink, but not for long. I was scared of anything taking control of me again. I shifted to Canberra in 1976 in a relationship to try and give my children and myself a different life. I was in and out of that relationship for 9 years. Relationships didn't work for me. I was a loner and felt safe in my own company. My ex-partner only found out about my past through the inquiry. A lot of these insecurities got passed on to my children. I have worked over 20 years with the aged and the terminally ill in their homes. Aged 30, I had an accident and started my hard journey with prescribed medication, dope and speed. I was lucky to see once again, I was lucky, very lucky, to see once again of being scared of losing control, and I stopped this abruptly. I started to work with Professor Manning Clark and his wife Dimpner in 1978 as a cleaner, and I have been a caretaker of Manning Clark House Cultural Centre for the last 20 years. I spoke in the cell block at Hay Community in 2005, and this opened up a reunion in 2007. There was a plaque put out there and dedicated to the young girls locked in Hay, and less than 20 women and their families turned up from all years. I wrote A Day in Hay, unpublished memoirs in 2005 after speaking in the cell block. Hay Jail is a museum, and through having that reunion, we Hay girls got it heritaged. There was a documentary done from that reunion, and it got the big prize for the youth section for the Canberra Film Festival Awards. I joined AFA in 2007 as a delegate for Canberra for Forgotten Australians to lobby and get services through mental health, housing, drug, alcohol and counselling and a clearinghouse set up. I have been a speaker at CIT classes for drug and alcohol, psychology and social policy, telling my story as a forgotten Australian. I am not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but even I know that the system I have described would create disturbed people. How could state public servants run a system like this and not know they were creating damaged and dangerous people? Thank you.